In this video, I will take you in a special place, here at the light festival called Spotlight. You will see what were the tourist attractions, and at the ending of this clip, I'm gonna share my opinion about the camera that I used, a Canon M6 Mark II. This is my first nocturnal photo walk for this channel. You will see the photos. But before we switch to darkness, I want to show you the transition from day to night. Let's begin. As the sun was still shining, I took photos on the street where the festival was about to begin. These are warm-up photos, but as you will see, no warm-up was going to prepare me for what happened next. During the day, I used my Olympus camera. We will start with this thing, a head that has LEDs on it, an artifact of the festival. When we'll switch to night mode, you'll see how awesome this head looks. As a photographer, I wish this head was there all the time. Thanks to it, you can get some really good shots. Think about it, if the city had multiple artifacts like this one, street photography would have been even more interesting. Switching to night mode and to the M6 Mark II. The lights turned on. The work that was put into this artifact deserves appreciation. A lot of people gathered, they were taking photos, and I was glad. Where there's people, there are a lot of photo opportunities. I got some nice shots. I was changing my position to better show the atmosphere. But suddenly, everything became difficult. I can't express how many people gathered to see the light show. Tens of thousands. As a photographer in these situations, it's difficult to find the best angle. It's also my fault. It was a 3-day festival. I arrived there on the 2nd on a Saturday, when it was crowded. Still, I have to point out, it was a nice atmosphere. Here we see 3 disco globes that were spreading colorful light dots. The music was playing. It was the most energetic place of the festival, an outdoor disco. I was about to put the camera in the bag. Sometimes you need to do this. You're living the moment when you're not staring at a screen. At this hotel, we see some shapes that stare at you from the balcony. What's even more interesting, these creations were also on the ground floor. Because they were spreading light, same as a ring light, a lot of people were sticking their head in there for some photos. I did the same thing because I needed a thumbnail for this video. Because the light shapes don't have LEDs on both sides, we see some shadows on my face. Still, this creation was not made for selfies. As the organizer notes, it represents a state of transition. Depending on how you look at it, it shows the certainty or uncertainty when it comes to a person's identity. Next, we have a character named Energoropa. Practically, it's Europe portrayed as nature's energy goddess, a creation that represents balance and communion with nature. Out of multiple shots that I took there, this is my favorite one. Here we have an installation named Flower Power. It rotates some light baguettes. Same as a camera, the human eye adapts in low light. It reduces its shutter speed. In darkness, we see the action in glitches. The Flower Power installation makes use of this phenomenon. Through rapid movements, it creates flower-shaped forms on our retina. A projection was taking place at this statue. The images didn't catch my attention, but something else did, this powerful purple color. The harsh shadow from behind, the strong contrast between black and purple create a depressing atmosphere. It's like the statue suddenly becomes even more important. Speaking about projections, here we have another one on a big building. It always fascinated me how these creations were made. I never tried this craft, but for sure, the projector must be powerful and it must stay in a precise spot. Only from there, it can correctly cast images. What we see was carefully created to match the building's architecture. Also, there's music playing in sync with the images. If you ask me, this is that type of event that you have to see with the naked eye, not by staring at a screen. Enjoy the moment, how they say. This is what I tried to do that day. I wasn't struggling to capture the best images. I didn't want it to feel like I was working. Leave a comment if you also do this, if you turn the camera off when you want to enjoy the show. As promised at the beginning of this clip, let me share some thoughts about the Canon M6 Mark II that I used. There are 3 things that I liked and 3 things that I didn't like. Let me start with the positive stuff. Good handling. This camera is longer than its predecessor and has 2 dials for shutter speed and aperture settings. Also, the buttons are right there where you need them. These traits offer excellent control. Image quality is also nice. This is the best performing EOS M camera. The color depth and dynamic range is great, similar performances with the Canon 90D. Another nice thing, good focusing. I didn't had any issues in low light conditions. The camera has fast and reliable focusing capabilities. Now, 3 things that I didn't like. No viewfinder. I know that for the M6 you can buy a viewfinder separately, but I don't have one yet, and this really affects your control and your reaction time. Another flaw, no IBIS. For the video shots that you just watched, I had to stabilize the footage in post. This is how it looks like with stabilization, and this is what the camera captured. I really wished I had IBIS that day. The third bad thing is more about the lens. I used the 22mm f2. Well, f2 in low light conditions is not enough. The camera has great ISO performances, clean images at ISO 1600. These are excellent results for an APS-C sensor. Still, in those low light conditions, I wish I had a faster lens or a full frame sensor. The Canon M6 Mark II is a good camera, and I will make a separate vlog about it with more details. Until then, if you enjoyed my first ever nocturnal photo walk for this channel, hit that like button. Also consider subscribing. See you on the next one, guys. Take care.